Now you started out the same way I did. I understand that you started out at like the Laugh Factory.
Yeah.
Are you a stand-up comedian?
Yeah. Well, my dad saw like an article that, you know, kids could do a comedy camp at the Laugh Factory.
Right.
So it was like for 6 weeks or something, you know, like Arsenio Hall came on and he would like critique your act.
Right.
And Richard Pryor came on.
Wow.
So that was really cool. He was so neat. It was so cool. I was like, wow, it was so neat to meet him, you know. And then a few other people came on.
Right.
Yes. And oh yeah, this chair is kind of. Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah. And so it was really cool, and then there was like a graduation night, and that's where the producers of the show, like Brian Robbins and Dan Schneider, came on the show, and they saw me there. So
And that was it? You just got discovered right off of the comedy camp?
Yeah.
I understand that you do. You know what? You'll never have to drink coffee. You know that.
Yeah, I don't.
I know.
I drink enough Coca-Cola.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You've got that caffeine
They made
kind
like
of
a little,
feel.
exactly. They made a rule for me that I can't have Coke after 3 o'clock. You know, like the cast members.
I can see why. But you're adorable.
Thank you.
You're adorable.
Like,
now you do. Woo-hoo. Yeah.
Now, this is something interesting. Your dad once wrote me a joke, and I sent him a check.
Yeah, in 1993, I was 7. My dad, actually, who was a dentist for a long time, submitted a joke to you, and you actually told it on the air.
Oh.
My dad taped it. He happened to tape it, and my dad has the
I
check
sent him a
here.
check for $50. Where is Dad? Dad, where are you? Dad?
Hi, Dad.
Dad, you remember the joke? Dad, you remember the joke, right?
Yeah, it's the only one I ever sold. So.
All right. They seem pretty easygoing. Were your folks strict when you were growing up?
They actually were very strict.
Yeah.
In a good way, though. My parents never let me go to the mall alone or with friends. I had to go with my parents.
All with friends? You couldn't even go with
I
friends?
couldn't even go with friends. I think it was because, you know, shady things happen in malls.
Right.
So I wasn't allowed to go. So I did have very strict parents. But as you can see, that's where I got my love of comedy from my funny dad. So,
Right.
and my beautiful mom.
And a lot of us have to go through these awkward stages in our life. You had to do that on TV. Was that hard for you?
Not when you're 9. Like when
Right.
you're 9, it's sort of sweet. But when you're 13 and 14 and you're like, you know, getting pimples and you're like growing 6 inches and
Right.
you're awkward, it's not fun at all.
Did you do a lot of physical comedy?
Yeah, I did. You know, sort of just falling around and doing all that. I was actually always a big fan of you.
Oh, thank you.
Well, who isn't though?
What's it like living in the house with him? Does he wake up and he's funny and is
Very funny, but he's not allowed to do any impressions.
he's not allowed to?
No, they scare me.
That's right.
He looks like these people. I'm like, yeah.
That's
you
what I was
know.
going to say. Yeah, there
He
are
starts
certain
doing
things.
Jack Nicholson, and all of a sudden I'm like, I want
Really?
Jim back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She gets actually scared.
How did he?
And so I've had a couple shows, but you had your own show when you were like what, 16, 15?
I was 13, but there were so many like characters that it wasn't even like me.
No, but it's incredible that you. And so I've had a couple shows, but you had your own show when you were like what, 16, 15?
I was 13, but there were so many like characters that it wasn't even like me.
No, but it's incredible that.
Former Nickelodeon star Amanda Bynes is about to check into rehab. Sound familiar? Amanda is in a whole heap of trouble with the law lately. She's actually showing shades of a once troubled Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay herself even tweeted this: "Why did I get put in jail? A Nickelodeon star has had no punishment so far." Well, say what you will about Lindsay weighing in on Amanda's problems, but Amanda is certainly not in a good place. In the last year, the 26-year-old has racked up 2 hit-and-run charges, a DUI, and her car was impounded after she was busted for driving with a suspended driver's license. Today, there are reports that she even locked herself in the dressing room for nearly 2 hours, and I find it all particularly disturbing because of how different this behavior is from the Amanda Bynes I met 5 years ago. I sat down with a poised, impressively mature 21-year-old Amanda Bynes, who explained to me then why she and Lindsay Lohan didn't have much in common at all.
You clearly have your act together. Let me go through my little checklist here. You haven't been to jail?
Nope.
No jail?
No, not yet.
Rehab?
No.
No rehab. Amanda Bynes, what kind of a starlet are you?
I know. What's wrong with me? I don't know. It's shocking how it's become popular to go to rehab, right? I have no problem. I've never even been offered drugs, and people, you know, when I've told them, have been shocked.
What town do you live in? Yeah.
I know, because I don't go. I'm never. I mean, even if I'm there, I'm surrounded by people who aren't interested in that. Birds of a feather flock together,
Sure.
and I definitely don't fly with that crowd.
Well, I must say, I do wish Amanda all the best in turning things around. She is scheduled to face a judge for 2 hit-and-run misdemeanors on September 27th.
Hey, Amanda, so can I ask you about your father, though? Your father was showing his penis to you, though.
My father should be put in jail for a very long
Why,
time.
Amanda? Why?
I want to shoot my father in the face, and that's why I said I want to like strip for him as a joke. I want to literally like lead him into a ditch, and I haven't decided how I want to murder him because now I have this like war wound on my face, and I don't believe in murder.
Comedy clubs. You played the Laugh Factory here in town?
Yeah, Laugh Factory when I was 10. That's where some of the producers saw me for All That on Nickelodeon. So they asked me to come in, and I was like, well, I don't really want to do TV. I was doing plays, like I was in The Secret Garden and To Kill a Mockingbird, and I was like, kind of like, I don't know. And all my friends loved All That, and so one day when I actually was like, okay, yeah, I'll do it, I was a little nervous.
I can tell you that the #1 problem in Hollywood was and is and always will be pedophilia. That's the biggest problem for children in this industry.
The casting couch even applies to children.
Oh yeah. not in the same way. It's all done under the radar.
Nobody talks about pedophilia.
It's the big secret.
And it's widespread.
Oh yeah. I was surrounded by them when I was 14 years old. Surrounded. Literally. Didn't even know it. It wasn't until I was old enough to realize what they were and what they wanted and what they were about and the types of people that were surrounding me until I went, oh my God, they were everywhere like vultures. There was a circle of older men that surrounded themselves around this group of kids. And they all had either their own power or connections to great power in the entertainment industry. You know, there's a lot of good people in this industry, but there's also a lot of really, really sick, corrupt people in this industry. And there are people in this industry who have gotten away with it for so long that they feel they're above the law. And that's got to change. That's got to stop.
Is there a dark side to child stardom?
Definitely. I think a lot of kids don't really want to do it. I think that the parents want to do it more than the kids.
Chris Snyder says for most child stars, it's the parents that can cause more damage. And he would know, having managed with his late boss Iris Burton some of the most iconic child stars, including Feldman, River Phoenix, and Drew Barrymore.
The biggest problem in the whole thing is when the parents start to live through the kids and quit their jobs and buy expensive houses, buy expensive cars, and the parents aren't understanding it's not going to go on forever, and it just wrecks everything.
I believe that everybody in this world should have the freedom of choice.
And child stars don't.
Child stars have nothing. They have nothing. They have no choice.
people I work with want to torture me.
Why do some artists who have a certain amount of talent, some not very much, why do they get picked up by the corporations to become these big influencers of young people and other people through the entertainment and the music industry, and others with incredible talent never get off the ground? It's because they are chosen.
Most people still today think that all entertainment is therefore nothing more than entertainment. It never ever was that case.
What we see here is that this is actually all based up into psychological warfare done by military intelligence, wrapped up with occultism.
Disney World looks like a whole fun bunch of rides, but what we actually have here are a number of rides that are sponsored by military industrial corporations.
happiest place on earth, my snow white ass.
Walt Disney was hired by J. Edgar Hoover to instill mind pattern programming into the children. It was an FBI plan. It was instigated.
To really appreciate how this could be done, you need to appreciate something called trauma-based mind control. During the last war in the concentration camps of Germany, they started to perfect the manipulation of a natural mechanism in the mind that shuts out trauma. If you could systematically traumatize someone and start with children, particularly before the age of 5 and 6, you could turn their minds into a honeycomb of self-contained compartments, none of which was aware of the other's existence.
They start with wanting to make me an obedient slave at first, and so they do a lot of sensory deprivation, they do a lot of sensory overload, and they switch between the two, and they do out-and-out torture. They take a small child and they electroshock. In my case, it was electroshock to the brain. I've had drugs injected into my body so that my nerves were just like on fire, and then they would just touch me. They kept me awake for many hours at night, would not let me sleep. They do use cattle prods on people in torturing them, and they do use electrical stimulation to the genitals and also on the teeth. I was made to eat my own feces as a little child. I was made to drink my own urine. I was not allowed to go to the bathroom. I was placed in a sensory deprivation tank. I had my shoulders, my knees, my toes, and my fingers, my elbows dislocated and then put back into place. I have had my eyelids taped open. I saw games of Russian roulette played where it was chosen beforehand that a child would die, and the child would put the gun up to his head and pull the trigger, and this child would end up dying. But it was meant to scare all of us, to keep us in terror.
Disney is used as a torture device to compartmentalize and bring about this dissociative identity disorder.
We've got these list of Mouseketeers. We've got Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Justin Timberlake.
These were all poor little children that were brainwashed together in a Disney program.
What they will do is use these people in high-profile rituals.
Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. But there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad.
Let's be clear, I don't believe that they're really pulling energy and power into their phallus and energizing themselves to be God-men. They believe it.
Actually, right now we should talk a little about Tom Cruise and Scientology.
Scientology, according to L. Ron Hubbard Jr., is a black ritual done over a long period of time. Instead of getting all your trauma at once, you get it in little increments.
This footage is worth money.
Why? What footage?
This thing you're looking into?
It's a camera.
Exactly.
Britney Spears created quite a commotion here at this tattoo parlor in Sherman Oaks tonight when she showed up, well, let's just say with a whole new look that may not be so popular with her fans.
They aren't just pop stars trying to cry out for attention. These are people that have been put through abuse throughout their lives and raised in this environment that we can't even imagine.
There is breaking news now on Fox News Channel. The Los Angeles Times and the Associated Press are now reporting Michael Jackson has died in Los Angeles this afternoon.
And of course, we know that the Jacksons were also ritually abused.
Really, it's a tragedy at the end of the day. That is the type of creature that his father produced.
You just said that you would practice the dance steps and your father would be holding a belt in his hand. Is that what you just said? Yes. he would tear you up if you missed.
I know what evil looks like, folks, and I'm telling you, that's an evil man. And the whole thing is an evil spectacle.
So I finally got my own TV show coming out next fall on CBS. It's a half-hour weekly show that I will host entitled Let's Hunt and Kill Billy Ray Cyrus. It's a fairly self-explanatory plot. Each week we let the hounds of hell loose and we chase that jarhead, no-talent, cracker asshole all over the globe. Until I finally catch that fruity little ponytail of his in the back, pull him to his knees, put a shotgun in his mouth like a big black cock of death.
That's how we sell sex to little girls. That's how we sell sex to little girls.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. I come to you today representing families.
The White House claims he's too busy to even acknowledge Sheen's letter, never mind meet with Sheen. But obviously he's not too busy to talk about some mindless antics of this hip-hop star jumping on stage at an MTV Music Awards show.
He's a jackass.
In fact, Obama routinely makes mindless comments about everything under the sun. Yeah, he can't even acknowledge questions that are shared by the 9/11 victims' family members that are put out in this letter by Charlie Sheen.
I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this bloody morality. There was moral outrage in America. It's disgusting, Janet Jackson. Immoral. I wonder which of these pictures is more sodding immoral. Welcome to the X Factor. Your final starts right here.
They've been programmed. I'm sad because I know that it's hard for people like that to take a serious interest in world affairs. I see how easy it is for the masses to be manipulated.
It's a psychic weapon to blind people from all the majesty and beauty that is creation, and to blind people from their families and their children and just the amazing life force that's all around us.
The scale and fine detail in which these opinion formers right across society, from entertainment, media through to politics, etc., are actually brought through from childhood to do those things is absolutely incredible. And when the lid really comes off this, and it's coming off, then people are going to look at the world they've been living in and see just, even if people now think, yes, it's a controlled world, whoa, wait till you see the level of control.
We're standing up to the drama that they do bring. Just check the left hand, see the G-ring, and mock rituals, what are they unleashing? Masonic rituals live on TV. It's all been exposed like the country road. Just like MK Ultra is on my control. You tripping when you ain't sipping. Have a refill, you feeling like you in prison, huh? That's 'cause that's real.
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. You can see it when you turn on your television. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.